at home.
Minutes of racing, and are we going to go 3 wide into the opening corner?
That was a very late dive. He managed to make it work. And he gets the green. We're underway. 3 races left.
Makes it work, and the defending champion wins at Circuit Lebanon.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Ever witnessed someone so fast on track you doubt you could ever be on their level? The mission of Advanced Motorsports is to demonstrate the speed is achievable for everyone. With the expertise of some of the best sim drivers in North America, we are set to release free content on social media and comprehensive guides on our website. For those seeking the ultimate experience, our Advanced Motorsport Institute and personalized coaching sessions are the way to go. No matter your level of experience, we invite you to follow us on our social media to learn to be fast.
Last week saw the surprising victory of Bruno Mello at Dover Speedway with the one-stop pit strategy. But tonight, it's time to carry on my wayward son as the PRL Cup Series is live from the virtual Kansas Speedway. Good evening, everyone. My name is Derek Watson. Here next with me is Joe Peak in the booth with Mike Yao pushing the buttons behind the scenes and Nick Hunter as our unofficial spotter for this race. Well, Joe, here we are, Kansas Speedway. There's no place like home.
Indeed. And unfortunately, home is going to be on the high line most likely, which often means at tracks like this, it can be difficult to pass because everybody's going to try and get down to the low side, but then can't get the jump off the corner. So track position, probably going to be a big part of tonight's race.
Yeah, a big part of tonight's race indeed. Let's look at the schedule we've went through so far with PRL. This is sort of ends our second of our trimesters, if you will, as we're down a 9-week season. Next week is Throwback Week at Darlington. A lot of drivers excited for that. Then we go to North Wilkesboro and Charlotte to end this season out. Let's take a look at the points. Trent Dinkel starting to walk away with it here, a 36-point lead over Abner Acosta. Pat Harvey back at 150 with Eric Haig only 1 point back, with Lou Christian right there in that battle for the top 3. Then it's Maverick Davis, Chris Hudson, Park Hilliard, Nicholas Gowin, and Jeff Chandler in your top 10. And Joe, how are the teams looking?
Well, right now, private label Team Hype has a pretty healthy margin over Pioneer Racing. And then it's another big jump, more than 100 points down to Moradness M Squad. So we're seeing this late in the season that they're starting to get quite separated out there. Finally, it closes up for Gowin Racing between 3rd and 4th, as they only have 13 points between them. And then it stays relatively close for those remaining on down. But private label Team Hype, Pioneer Racing are really going to be difficult to catch, I'd say, in these final few races.
Yeah, probably so, as we wait these final couple races to happen. But before we get there, let's say thank you to a few people, those being the sponsors that make everything happen here for the PRL. Let's start with Advanced Sim Racing, owned and operated by passionate sim racers. Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. And all PRL members get a 5% discount code on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. Next up is Racebox. Racebox offers mid to high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the most casual gamers up to the most meticulous of sim racing drivers. They're competitively priced and carefully handcrafted. There are their button boxes, and they're an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. And you can visit raceboxsimracing.com and get a 5% discount code using the Precision 5 coupon code. Next up is the Bud Kicker. The Bud Kicker products are an incredible immersion, and they add realism to every game. You can feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Moradness. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. Visit moradness.com. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or, well, simply your worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. They're a great addition to any sim racing room. And last but not least, get ready to learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. You can follow them on their socials, whether it be TikTok, Instagram, or wherever you go, and learn how to become a better driver today. Well, Joe, qualifying is underway here at Kansas Speedway. Drivers are trying to get those laps in and see where we come out here. And as you said, likely very much a high lane track. Look at that, it's a 13 up against the wall. That will likely invalidate that lap.
Yeah, I already saw at least a couple drivers that had their first lap get deleted. Pat Harvey, one of those, came back around, managed to go quick enough for second, but boy, did he put himself under the gun. Eric Haig also able to get his first lap in, thankfully without rushing that, and he'll jump up into 7th. So we've got much of our top competitors in the points championship now with at least a lap down.
There you go. You see currently it's Trent Dinkel up on the pole right now. Pat Harvey, Abner Acosta trying to running down. Brandon Walter up there in the top 4 as well. But here's Craig Bray, part of Moradness, and that beautiful 709 machine. Ooh, look at that, a little bit of wiggle, Joe.
Yeah, got to be careful coming off of turns 2 and 4 here. The wall really jumps out and gets you if you're not careful, especially if you're coming off the bottom, because that progressive banking, it's going to slide you up a lot faster than you'd anticipate, which is another thing that makes too-wide racing a little sketchy sometimes.
Yeah, 2-wide racing, and who knows, we may even see some 3-wide racing. Craig Bray puts himself 9th or 10th on the board now, as Maverick Davis also is there ready to put on. Now let's go back through a different car and see who we got here. Is that, can't get a number, I think it's 33. It's James O'Brien. James, a PRL veteran, raced multiple, different races, multiple different leagues. Come around here, doesn't use the apron, much to my surprise, but now we'll come up here through turn 1 and see what happens with him.
Like a 30.554, so that's good enough for 7th. And Maverick Davis actually just put himself on the front row in the 15. That's going to bump Pat Harvey down to 3rd place. Interesting that we're still seeing some drivers find time late in the session.
Yeah, I think some drivers really want to wait and see, who puts down what the goal is. Here's James on the apron the second time. See if that improves his time at all. Wait for the timing to come in on the scale. Oh, it does, up to P3. Only a 1/10 of a second off of Trent Dinkle.
I think that's going to be it for everybody to set a time. Bruno's not out there early enough to be able to do anything. So while we do have 20 seconds left with him not actually out on a lap, he's going to be starting from the back of the field. So it looks like only 14 of our drivers willing to set a time tonight.
Well, there are some drivers not allowed to qualify as well. We can go through that list in just a moment here, but there are, I think, 5 not allowed to qualify. But let's take a look at the grid first. Up on the pole is Trent Dinkle with Maverick Davis on the outside. James O'Brien and Pat Harvey make up row 2, and then Abner Acosta and Eric Haig make up row 3, Joe.
Yep. Then we get to Brandon Walters starting in 7th as Chris Hudson will be P8. Greg Carr is 9th today. You've got Jake Mackey starting in 10th. Then in row 6, it's Craig Bray, flanked by Marshall Harris.
We'll move back into unlucky number 13. That's Mark Kalin, part of Precision Racing Wadaback, and then Stan Corinthian in 14th, part of Go Win Racing. These are the 14 drivers who turned a time. Now let's look at those who didn't. Bruno Mello, Jeff Chandler, Lou Christian, Chad Kibbe, Jose Medina, Tim Perry, John Jones, and Duncan Startoska. Now, not all these guys, Joe, were prohibited from qualifying. Some just chose not to. So there's a lot of non-qualifiers in this race.
Yeah, it's a bit surprising. Like I said, usually you want to try and get up as high as you can. Places like Talladega, you can see this pretty frequently where drivers will intentionally put themselves at the back at the start and just kind of stay out of trouble. I wouldn't really consider this to be one of those tracks. I feel like you want to try and qualify, so we'll see how it goes for them. It's a long race, and I have to imagine that with the right tire strategy out there, depending on how the cautions go, you could get yourself up to the front.
Yeah, you could. Keep in mind, it is 150 laps or 90 minutes. Whatever happens first is how this race will go. So that's curious to see, though. I sort of am with you. I'm surprised that people didn't qualify because, this is not a Dega, it's not a Daytona, it's not a track well known for easy passing. Passes take a lot of effort here, so I'm surprised as the pace car rolls off here. But Joe, I'm going to come back to you and ask you, what are your keys to victory here at Kansas Speedway?
I'd say tire management with the warm weather that we've got here tonight. Basically holding on to your stuff and trying to play your cards right when we do get those cautions is going to be critical to where you wind up today. If we have a long green flag run especially, and we wind up somehow getting a green flag stops, figuring out the right time to get in there, get a bit of that undercut without winding up too vulnerable at the end could be a huge factor.
Yeah, I think very much could. And that weather you talked about, let's take a look at it and see the track conditions here. It's a 77-degree air temp and 108-degree track temp, Joe. That's actually come down a little bit. Thinking about the much of our spring, 112 earlier. You see it is 3:12 p.m. on the 4th of May, virtual sim time. But that track temp coming down, that surprises me.
Yeah, driver's going to be trying to use the force the best they can out here, I imagine, as it looks like they're ready to go.
We are ready to go. All right, well, one more time this season, Trent Dinkle leads us around, and green flag, we are live at Kansas Speedway. As they come out of turn 4, the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even 6 or 7 cars, pretty much single file. Got some takers down on that apron. That'll only be usable for a little bit of time. But Dinkle leads us around as we begin lap 2 here at Kansas. And it's Dinkle, Davis, O'Brien, Acosta, and Harvey in your top 5.
Yeah, it's a very orderly start. I like what I'm seeing because, like I said, it's a long race. And drivers will have time to make things happen. You don't need to try and do anything risky. You can see a little bit farther back here. There's a few that are trying up on the high side. I think that's Jake Mackey up there with Harris behind him, along with Craig Bray. So they've almost been forced into this as we do have that too wide racing. But I can already tell that they're getting a little bit better shots off the corner.
Yeah, they'll get better shots off the corner. We'll wait and see how long these bottom lanes last when tires begin to wear off. But for now, look at this battle. This is the 43 and the 99 here. You see just kind of both moving lanes a little bit. The 99 is going to drift up first. Whoa, the 43 split up there to save the car.
So a little 3 wide as well. In behind them, Harris, Carr, and Kalen all kind of sorting it out back there as they're going to swing back into 1 and 2. This is Greg Carr that we're following in the 25 as they fly off onto the back stretch. With this only being a mile and a half, the laps go by pretty quickly here.
Yeah, laps are pretty quick, pretty right around the 30-second mark under race conditions, and maybe into the 32s, 33s as these tires begin to wear. So wait and see here. More and more cars trying to get a little bit of a speed advantage, Joe, from using that apron. But that apron, it's a dangerous place as this race goes on.
Exactly. It's a decently steep transition between the banking on the front stretch and that apron, and you can wind up upsetting the car. You definitely don't want to do that, as once again we go 3 wide. This time Chandler on the bottom, and way up to the high side, the 62 of Kalen. It looks like maybe he just decided to back out of it a bit.
Wow, I thought he was going to get squeezed in the wall. That's what I thought was going to happen, but they got it all worked out back here. There's some tight racing going on back here, and this is really a little deeper in the field. Take a look. This is James O'Brien. We're riding on board with this P3, trying to run down Maverick Davis in that mad car. Right now, he is not driving mad. Pretty calm, pretty collected. Just trying to keep in touch with our points leader.
Yeah, this has been complete opposite to what we were watching there farther back in the pack. Everybody's been so single file here. And again, I think just kind of waiting to see how this race plays out, trying to hold on to their tires a little bit, opening up these corners. Yes, they're running the bottom, as that was a big wiggle from Davis, and that's going to open things up for O'Brien.
Nice job by Davis to get out of the throttle and not hit the wall or make any bad decisions there in that moment. But now, as you see, 2 wide they are. And right now, O'Brien's probably going to get the run here, at least the better line here. If he doesn't get him now, Joe, he'll get him up through the corner. O'Brien will likely break in a little hard and pass Davis. But, man, they're still keeping even up here in this corner. I'm a little surprised.
Davis has that desired high line, and he's using it to good effect. But it seems like he got rattled a little bit by that hiccup down heading through the apron of 1 and 2. So they'll have to try and gather it back together, find some speed, as no one's willing to give way. And behind them, if you watch, Abner Acosta maybe trying to see if he could pick up the pieces himself as we ride in behind them. Well, I said it was single file, and now that has completely dissipated. Look at this mess now.
Yeah, what they've done by racing the side-by-side, Joe, is they've let that field catch up to them. They both are not running optimal lines. They've now kind of let Abner Acosta, Pat Harvey, and others get up here. And look at this gaggle of cars. That's the word that comes to mind right now. It's the big gaggle. This is about, what, 3rd through, it feels like 92nd or something, right?
Yeah, it goes all the way back to Jake Maki back in 8th right now. It starts up at P2 with James O'Brien, so definitely a lot of cars all shuffled up at this stage. Not only did it allow these drivers to catch up, but Dinkle is 1.2 seconds ahead. He's running away.
Yeah, Trent Dinkle is known this season for getting big gaps and then at times getting run back down afterwards, but O'Brien is clear. Now it's Acosta and Davis, side by side. Pat Harvey's involved here. Brandon Walters moving up in his pack and trying to get involved in this race. So right now, this is good news for the drivers behind, because now they feel like, oh, there's a car on the wall. They feel like they have a shot here by being in the middle of this drafting pack.
It was literally a car in the wall. It was Greg Carr that was in the wall, and he has lost a ton of speed. He's not only going to fall to the back, but outside of the main pack. And with how much the draft seems to be holding everybody together here today, I wonder if that's not good, and he's going to need a caution to truly catch up.
Yeah, we'll wait and see how bad the hit on the wall was and if it caused any damage, and you know what that can do. That could cause some tire rubs as this run goes on. So Joe, talk to me about the draft here. Obviously, you know, we're not at a super speedway, but the draft can have some effect on what lane you pick here, right?
yeah, it's still a pretty fast circuit. So drivers are, as we're going to take a look, I think, at the replay here. Just, yeah, coming up a little too high. And that's easy to do when you're running the high line. Just maybe come in a little bit too far up the road. And when you brush it, it almost sucks you in and it steals your momentum. But the draft, as you were asking about, I mean, you can see it with the main pack. Everybody's staying with each other quite easily. And while it is a bit difficult to overtake, it's easy to stay in touch as long as you don't do what Greg Carr did.
Yeah, right. And also want to give shout out to Greg Carr as well. It is super easy to maybe pull that car back down off the wall and be involved in things, but made the right decision, kept it up there on the wall, and lost some spots, but we kept the race green because of it. Here we are working lap 14 of 150. Caution free so far here for the PRL Cup Series, live from Kansas. And right now, Abner Acosta is trying to make that pass there and stay ahead of Jake Maki. Jake, of course, the owner of the big, fast racing team here, Joe, in PRL, and team that races. Look at that. That's 3 wide. That is Acosta, that's Maki, and that's Maverick Davis. And they hope they work it out here.
Well, they're managing it well for the time being. Poor Davis stuck in the middle. He's not been having a good time ever since he had that bobble. And look at how close they have to get coming off of 2, nearly running into the side of Maki.
Ooh, I thought Abner wasn't clear, to be honest with you, Joe. I thought for sure that was going to be a scary moment. And I bet Jake Maki did as well. There's the whole field coming through. But back live here, remember, this is P4. We're about, 12 or 13. You can see all in that one camera shot there. So they're working it here and trying to make things happen. Acosta is now clear. Maki is clear. Now it's Maverick Davis and Eric Haig side by side.
On the back stretch, a few of them still working on trying to sort themselves out. Haig is going to be able to move ahead of Davis. I don't like what I'm seeing out of Maverick. There's biding your time and backing off, and then there's just getting swallowed up by the pack. And I think this is the latter, the number 15. I don't think this is intentional.
No, sometimes that happens here at Kansas. Really, with it being a drafting track and being a momentum track, if you, miss a corner, you miss a little bit of speed, it feels like forever before you kind of get yourself back in line. And, Maverick Davis, one of the more familiar names on RaceSpot, races here Sunday nights in the PRL Cup, races Monday nights in Real Sim Racing, which is here live on RaceSpot as well. So he's a lover of this Cup car, but right now has fallen back seconds. And I'm curious if he can recover.
Yeah, for reference, I mean, they're hitting 190 at the end of the straightaways here. So that's super speedway levels. Obviously, they scrub a lot off in the corners down to about 165 or so, but they're cooking by the time they get to the end of the straightaways.
Oh yeah, lots of speed to be had here, especially if you can get around to the outside. Oh, almost contact right there between Maverick Davis and almost contact ahead as well as Jake Maki, that chrome-ish looking car. There's Pat Harvey on the bottom. There's cars everywhere here, Joe.
And still Maverick just losing position after position. Kibbe on the far bottom side, I think going to be a little too shallow. That finally works out well for Maverick Davis, who gets the momentum off the turn, tries to retake a spot from Pat Harvey as well. And yeah, he's just going to kind of ride the rim here up around. He's being joined, I think that's Luke Christian, it looks like, in the 21, and the 13 of Jake Maki just ahead of him as well. Going to try that upper side. I think we're starting to see the evolution of the track and drivers drift up a little bit now.
Yeah, a couple of drivers told us that lap 20 to 25 is where the line would change from bottom to top and where they want to start thinking about tires. So we'll see what happens here. And maybe Maverick Davis is ahead of the curve. Who knows? Maybe by running the top side, he'll have more tires left, at the end of this run. I'll be honest with you, I'm more concerned about the tires than I am the fuel in this run. I think that you can easily do the stop. Well, not easily, but you can do the stop, one stopper on fuel. But this track needs some tires.
100%. It's definitely going to be tire limited today. I mean, even looking at the lap times, we're 21 laps into this thing, and we're about 0.6 of a second down per lap. So more than half a second each lap. And we're not even really into the ideal pit window. So imagine once we get farther along, the sort of undercut that we can pull if this stays green.
Yep. working here on board with Mark Kalin. Each one, there's grass, and that's in the grass. That's going to say green. That's Brandon Walter. Oh, yellow. Look at that right ahead of.
Oh, and Jones gets absolutely plowed into by Mark Kalin.
Yeah.
So this starts with Walter, I think, because he was off course for some reason. I think maybe he just got loose off of 4, and it just kind of daisy chained its way backwards through the field.
Yeah, as these tires wear off, it's pretty easy to get loose. Both out of 2 and a 4, you'll see a lot of drivers kind of snap that car quickly out of that corner. So we'll wait for the RaceSpot replay machine to load up and see what brought us into yellow for the first time as Trent Dinkel goes and chases down the pace car. Of course, we know we'll see a full round of pit stops, 4 tires, fuel, the whole 9 yards as we get there. But we're going to wait and see what brought out the yellow here to put us under this condition.
Yeah, I feel for Kalin coming into that whole accident late. It wasn't even that he got into the back of Jones or anything. I think it was a case of another car hitting him after he had his moment, and that just sort of spread it out. And I guess he was a little too fast to try and avoid what was happening in front of him. In the meantime, looks like everybody's coming in. Yeah, this is everyone.
Yeah, this will definitely be everyone. I can't imagine there's any games being played here, Joe. It's going to be 4 tires. It's going to be fuel. Do you think anyone is brave enough to go to and try out to see if it works?
If you're at the back of the pack, I say go for it. Gamble early in the race. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And you just come in a little later and make sure that you take 4. But you might as well try it. It'll get you some track position. And could put you a little bit farther up. So we're going to finally watch this replay. Yeah. Oh, he was very loose.
Down in the grass. And that's where the smoke I saw from the front of that camera angle. And it brings it up here in front of the field. Oh. Yeah, no, there's no way. Is that Medina? I can't get a number on the back of that car. Sorry. Where is that? That might be Kalin directly. Let's see.
I thought Kalin was the 3rd one. I might be misremembering. But yeah,
you're right. There's Kalin back. Yeah,
he ran into that 2nd car. Is that the That's the 90. So that is John Jones, who wound.
And really, John Jones had nowhere to go. Like that car just pulled up in front of him.
Yeah, you're not expecting it. I didn't see what his angle looked like, but if cars are scattering on either side, and that's part of where they're ducking down on the apron where they naturally want to go on the racing line, and someone pulls out of the way, you'd say, oh, well, they're on a straightaway. Surely he had time to avoid. No, not if someone is kind of blocking your view and suddenly dips to the side.
Well, and then, of course, in the case of Mark Kalin, now there's smoke involved in that. Now there's smoke. There's something to block your visibility. So that gets even worse because you can see the smoke, but you're not really sure what's on the other side of that smoke.
Exactly.
And it gets even harder. Hey, so here we go. Trent Dinkel, James O'Brien, Abner Acosta, Maverick Davis, and Eric Haig, top 5. Not much difference there compared to where we were.
And no gamblers, I have to say, Derek. Everybody took 4 tires like you were recommending, so doesn't look like we've got anybody willing to take the risk in these early stages, which again surprises me because, like I said, when you're at the back of the field and you want that track position, to me that's a bit of a no-brainer. Roll the dice, see what happens.
Yeah, I like to call them science experiments, Joe, because you do the experiment now, and hey, listen, now you have data for later. Now if we come down to a caution with 10 to go, you know if that works or doesn't work. You're not kind of sitting there with that big question mark above your head at 10 to go. So I like to do them. I think they're fun to find out, and they're data, but not everybody is willing to put themselves at that much of risk. Well, here we are working lap 25, about to begin 26. I would say that this easily, Joe, brings in that one green flag pit stop strategy that we were unsure of earlier.
Certainly. Also worth a mention that Mark Kalin in the 62 being involved in that, he got some engine damage we're hearing. He's been sitting and taking, I think it's about 3 minutes of repairs, we're being told, to try and get that car in working order. That's going to put him multiple laps down. So the 62 is basically going to be on the back foot the rest of tonight.
Let's do this. Instead of speculating, Mark Kalin, you are live in the booth. How's the car, first off?
Oh, she's hurting real bad.
All right, so obviously your view was just nothing but smoke, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I saw a car in the grass come back up on the track and try slamming its brakes again, and then got clobbered by another car, and there was just so much smoke. I didn't know whether the car was still there going up the track or what, and I just locked down my brakes, and that's all she wrote.
All right, well, we'll catch up with you later. We're about to be green, so good luck getting it fixed.
Thanks, man.
All right, there's Mark Kalin. Heard it from himself, Joe, as we suspected. The smoke got in the way.
Yeah, good call on that one. Looks like we got a restart, and Dinkel's going to be in control once again.
All right, well, Trent Dinkel's going to lead him around. Green flags in the air. James O'Brien the outside. Not the best start ever, but keeps up with Dinkel. And right now it's O'Brien and Acosta side by side.
Looks like down to 19 cars racing here on this first restart. We've lost Walter, we've lost Jones, and Sarotska, I think, did not start for today. And a battle for P2, as it looks like O'Brien and Acosta are going to try and squabble for the spot behind Trent.
Man, and knowing how Trent Dinkel pulled away before, I would think you don't want to do that. I think you want to catch up with Trent and then squabble. You know, you got your chance to sort of get your mulligan on that 2-second lead, Joe. I would not want to put myself back into it.
Yeah, they're going to get back single file pretty quickly. And if anybody could try and chase down Trent, I think Abner's got to be one of them. Super fast in almost anything that you stick him in, and with O'Brien sitting there behind. So watch these three to probably stay in this little trio and just try to tick the laps off, maybe pull themselves a buffer to the cars behind.
Yeah, so right now we see just one car down on the apron. And trying to make things happen here. But Dinkel once again leads us around. There's a car on the outside. That's Lou Christian, Joe. He's had a busy week.
Yeah, Lou is up 11 or 12 spots here on this race. We're only 29 laps in, so he's been moving up there. And if he did it on the high side, it'd be something where you just have to discuss it with Justin and find out, you know, what the expectations are.
Right. Mike, how are you doing? All right, we are back here live after some technical difficulties, and not much has changed as far as how the race is running. We're under green flag. That has not changed. Trent Dinkel is still leading. That's not changed, Joe. There's been some cars in the wall. That's not changed either.
Yeah, Marshall Harris unfortunately had a big moment. He's out of this race now, so we'll have only 18 out there at this stage, but the only one that's off the lead lap is Mark Kalin. But Dinkel versus Acosta, that was interesting because Abner had a go at Trent at one point, didn't quite get the pass made. He's also not letting him completely run away yet.
No, not letting him run away. And I think what was missed during the downtime was really Luke Christian has been flexing those muscles because he had a battle with Abner for P2 and is doing a very good job here at showing what he's capable of. So we're still green here at Kansas. We are working lap 51. And here we are side by side.
Yeah, this is Haig versus Davis. Maverick has been kind of in the thick of it constantly. I feel like half this race we turned the cameras to him because he's either in a battle or losing positions. Now trying to get him back maybe a bit here from Eric, who's going to run the low line as he's followed by Harvey, Chandler, and Kibbe.
All right, here we are now, big line of cars here. Lots of battling, lots of things going on. I think something we talked about maybe, right, for our hiccup was kind of the tale of two stories, Joe. Some drivers are very content at the front. They're willing to run single file. They're willing to kind of be calm and patient. And the back half field wants to be there so they can be calm and patient, but they're not right now.
Yeah, exactly. They've all been battling each other so much. I don't think they're going to have much tire left out there on the bottom. I think that was Greg Carr who had a big loose moment trying to get close to the apron. It seems like these cars are tightening up quite a bit if you're trying to run the bottom as the stint goes on. So I think we're going to see more and more of them migrate up to this top lane.
You know, you see that everybody making the transition out of 2 appropriately. This right now here is the 43 machine. That's Chris Hudson on your screen. Trying to run down Pat Harvey and Eric Haig here. This is the battle for the 7th, 8th, and 9th on screen. But P10 right behind him. That's what's Kitty at one point, but it's changed here a little bit. So Joe, talk us through the corners. We talked about some of the pre-broadcast, but why are 2 and 4 such difficult corners here at Kansas Speedway?
Well, it's like I said, you've got that aggressive banking. And what that does is, with it being more shallow on the bottom, it's going to shoot you out of the turn a little bit more than if you're, say, used to this here, the high side, where it'll help kind of carry that speed. The banking helps keep you off the wall. But when you're on the bottom, remember, you're drifting up off the corner. So you've got all this speed without the banking to help you. It's just going to drift up to the outside. And if you're not anticipating that, it's easy to suddenly run out of track and smack it, especially if you're starting to get a loose car too, like we're seeing some drivers do.
And then alternatively, you're already running the top side, Joe. That transition, that banking can sort of unsettle the car, right?
Yeah, that too. And some of it is dependent on how your car is set up as well. If it's set up to handle the higher line better, then it might not be happy trying to pinch down low like this. So you kind of have to run where you set it up to do. If you can get it to run both, great. But I mean, that whole area is a mystery to me, so don't ask me how to do that.
Yeah, it's a very, very tough challenge. Look at this. The 43 up all the way against the wall, running it very comfortably, in fact. That's impressive to see out of him. You know, Chris Hudson told me and said for the first 25 laps or so, he thought he wanted to, be on the bottom. And then his quote was, Joe, I'm going to rip that wall.
Yeah, I like I said, I think the high line is going to be the way to go here, is off the corner, getting himself a nice shot down the back stretch. It looks like Chris Hudson is going to see if he can complete the pass now on Haig, still staying on the bottom. And yeah, I mean, look at how much that car doesn't have the speed off the corner, and yet at the same time, the centrifugal force sends it right out to the safer barrier.
There's your term of the day, by the way, centrifugal force. That's a good science term for everybody to learn, and some cool science experiments in school. In fact, we always did with the bucket of water, Joe. I don't know how you did it, but we always did the bucket of water, and you keep swinging it around, and that's how you learn about centrifugal force.
Yeah. It's gonna want to go in one direction, and you especially know that with a heavy bucket of water. And these are very heavy cars too, so that's why momentum is such a huge thing. That ties into what we saw a little bit earlier when a car scraped the wall. I think it was Greg's car, and went so far backwards. You don't want to interrupt your speed with the speeds being so high here. It takes some time to get them back up to full tilt.
Yeah, and of course, there's that debate across the NASCAR community, both in real life and sim, about the motors currently, Joe. There's a lot of drivers who want to return back to the old style with the big motors, I think the 950 horsepowers. But right now, with these motors the way they are, it feels like it takes forever to kind of get back up to speed. So you really suffer there in that moment. Well, lap 60 is where we are, and still a great battle. This is Pat Harvey back there in that. What do we call that, Joe? Is that a seafoam machine?
Yeah, I think that's a good description of it. Kind of a Robin Take blue or something like that. But almost brush of the wall, I think, for Jeff Chandler in the green and black. I think he got away with it. That's going to allow Harvey to move into ninth.
There you go. There's a pass made. Sometimes you do it based upon your own speed. Sometimes you get lucky, and the driver ahead of you makes a small mistake, and that's what gets you around. But the pass is a pass here. So far, everyone's looking pretty good. I keep watching the exit of turn 2 to see where or when or how someone's going to have some difficulties. I mean, I'm thinking we had a caution at lap 25, so we're a good 30 laps into this run, and everyone's doing pretty well holding on to the car.
I know we're not watching it, but I just looked at Abner Acosta, and he was way, way closer to Dinkel. So I wonder if the battle for the lead is going to be back on here. It seems like Abner is starting to pick up the pace. Yeah, look at him run him down on the backstretch.
Make the move on the bottom as Abner not going to get through this time, but wants to let Dinkel know he's there. Wants to be kind of not intimidating, but just aware, just a menace, a threat, a presence, if you will, is what Abner's going for. And man, he really has closed that gap. Look at that beautiful camera shot there. Now Abner's going to ride all the way up to the top. Bit of a difference what he did in 3 and 4.
Yeah, they're kind of going reverse routes between the two corners, two ends of the track as they come back down. Yeah, once again, looks down low. I wonder why they're switching back and forth like this. This is kind of fascinating. I'm not sure what the reasoning is behind this.
I almost feel like wherever Trent is, Abner doesn't want to be. Like almost if Abner wants clean air. Almost if Abner thinks clean air is king. We've heard that quote before with these next-gen cars. And look at it again. Trent sort of rides in the middle, and Abner says, nope, I don't want to be there. I want to run my own race.
But, I mean, the thing about that is then why is Trent going from the bottom to the top between sides of the racetrack? This time, able to fully get alongside the 5 is going to do his best, but as we've seen, I think he's got a car that's a lot stronger up top, almost gets in the side of Dinkle, and he definitely had to have a big lift there.
Oh, that was a scary moment for probably both drivers inside their cars. You could sort of see and hear that presence inside the car when you're there. So now how close you are. And Abner lifted a little. That's what caused the gap in between these two cars. There's Trent. You know, I don't know. I imagine if you open Trent Dinkle's closet, Joe, there's 7 shirts. They're all the same. A couple hats. Trent Dinkle is like just the epitome of the standard.
Yeah. Well, you got to represent the team. You got to represent the brand. So I think he's probably doing that pretty well here. But I mean, it doesn't matter how you look. It's if you're fast out on the track, and that's what he's been this season. Really putting in some impressive performances. I think Acosta's doing his best to try and stop that today.
Yeah, he's doing great here. And of course, Trent Dinkle, representing Team Conti there on the back of that car. Michael Conti, of course, retired at the end of last eNASCAR seasons. Had a great run on social media of things he's done. But man, look at speak of great runs. Here it is. Abner Acosta now side by side has a bit of advantage since touching some car contact. And man, they're riding it high here. And Abner lifts again. Dinkle, well, that got a reaction out of someone you don't get a lot of reactions out of mid-race.
I wonder if Abner was trying the slide job there, because he absolutely threw it in. And also, I think that caught Trent by surprise, because remember, Abner was running up on the high side for so long. For him to suddenly switch it up definitely kind of changed the game there. Let's see what he does this time if he tries to go low again. No, he's going right back to the high side.
Yep, going high side again. See Trent now kind of going to calm down. Let's watch the battle from on back here. This is Chris Hudson in the 43. And racing back here. This is 10th, 9th, 8th, and 7th. This will be Hudson, Chandler, Eric Haig, and Stan Corinthian back here in this little pack of cars. And look at this, Hudson still up top. I mean, it has not changed. There's Chris Hudson on the look him. Got that beautiful setup. Got those bevel hiders. I don't know the word I'm looking for, Joe, but they have this new system, I guess, where you can just kind of hide the bevels in between your monitors.
Yeah, I don't know what they're called, but I know what you're talking about. You could definitely see them in there. In the meantime, look at Embezzle Kit. Thank you to Mike Yao, our director behind the scenes, filling us in. But look at the variety of lines that we're getting out of these cars, especially out of turn 4 last time. They were all kind of doing their own thing. There was some in the middle, some on the high side, some on the low side. Take your pick.
Yeah, lots of differences in how people are running. Also notice the difference here in how Chris is running. Whether it be better or worse is up for opinion. You feel like when you watch Chris race compared to Trent Dinkle, Joe, there's more emotion here, there's more reaction, there's more movement, there's more, a little bit of everything from Chris Hudson. I think that's just a driver preference, but I'm always interested to see how each person does in their rig.
Was that a hit from the wall there?
It is, that's 82.
So Nathan, unfortunately, going to scrape it and fall back down to 10th, but I don't think he lost enough speed that he's going to be out of it. Looks like he's held on to the tail of him.
All right, well, Hudson again back to the top, but we'll go back to the top ourselves. This is going to be Dinkle and Acosta, still about a 1/10 of a second, maybe a little bit more between them. And now Acosta is willing to kind of ride behind Dinkle and get that run. Let's see if he does anything with it.
Oh, he got a big old run. He's going to be able to get side by side. The real question is, can he get ahead of him by the time they turn into turn 1? Last time he did this, they actually banged doors. This one a lot smoother, but Acosta can't get the bottom to finish it up.
Well, I tell you, Joe, if he didn't, Dinkle came darn close to banging that wall. I thought there coming into the corner, but maybe he didn't. I thought for sure he was going to make the small contact, but here they are still side by side. Dinkel with a better run. Typically, as the run goes on at Kansas, Joe, the top lane will typically carry more momentum.
So you're saying Trent dinked it a little bit.
Oh, there's a good one.
Looks like Acosta still unable to make that stick on the bottom side. He's going to have to do something different. I've heard that Kalen has blown his engine. Yeah, he's drifting back on the bottom side. I don't think this will bring out the yellow as he's out of the racing line and he'll be able to make it to the pits. But that's day over.
That's a rough day. Of course, Mark involved in the only caution so far back on right around lap 25 and had lots of damage. And they're still at it here. For being teammates here in private label team hype. Oh, there's a contact and that got Acosta way loose. And they're still at it, man. For being teammates, you wouldn't know it based on this racing.
I mean, this is getting extremely aggressive. I mean, they got very close in the previous corner as well. Let's watch this once again. Yeah, this all starts here in 3 and 4. But watch how close he's going to get to the back of him. And then coming down the main straight, he'll be able to cut underneath. Are we looking...
That's Mark Kalen on top, yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
On the bottom right.
Yeah, apologies. Wrong replay. So yeah, Mark Kalen losing his engine and basically doing the right thing, getting out of the racing line. Oh, here we go. Is this it? Is the 5 got it done? He's ahead of him.
Now he's got to worry about the slide. Can he keep the momentum through the slide out the corner he's going to need to do? And he does get in front. He will lead his first lap at Kansas. That's good news for Abner. Yeah, we'll get him a bonus for leading a lap, pardon me. But the downside, if you will, Trent has already locked up most laps led in this race. So good news, bad news for Abner Acosta.
Well, I think some of that will depend on what happens with the pit stops, because it looks to me like Acosta has the better long-run car. Dinkel, we saw him kind of run away initially, but we didn't get very far into that first stint. What was it, about 25 laps or so that we ran? This has been much, much longer, and we've just passed the halfway point. And Acosta not only ran him down, it took him some hard work, but he was able to find his way by. I think Dinkel's in trouble if this thing stays green.
Yeah, we'll wait and see how Dinkel can recover, or if he can as it stays green here. This is the battle here in the back. This is Pat Harvey, Eric Haig, Lou Christian up there. This is 5, 6, and 7. This is crazy. Look at that back there. Chris Hudson back there. Jeff Chandler's back there. Bruno Meller, our winner last week, has appeared up here in P10. So this is getting to be a little dicey. They are 3 wide now.
And nearly scraping the wall. Pat Harvey was willing to be daring, and look at how it paid off. He's now at the front of that group. That was a 3-car pass in one corner.
That's impressive. That's what sometimes happens here at Kansas. You get a good run and you just make something happen, and it feels great when that happens. The driver in the seat feels good. You get a big smile on your face, and it feels like you're just pulling away right now. Well, as we begin lap 79, Trent Dinkel's back in the lead, by the way.
Not sure when he made that happen. I'm going back to check and see. Looks like, wow, he did it on the low side. I wonder if maybe Acosta just had a bit of a slide and that cost him some speed. I wouldn't think that Dinkel would be able to make a pass that easy. Also, Chad Kibbe, first to blink on pit stops.
Yeah, so we'll wait to see how that plays out. Here's the replay, by the way. There, as you said, Dinkel just did it on the bottom. Used the apron even. That's my bigger surprise right now. We are, got to be 50 laps into this run. And Trent Dinkel sporting with the apron.
Yeah, he's willing to take those risks. Looks like maybe Abner just slid up a little higher than he wanted to, and he had to get out of the throttle. That is what cost him on that one. But Davis is also catching the pair of them now, interestingly, as we keep watch on Mello fighting for 7th with Chris Hudson up to his high side. And there you go, battle back on again for the lead. Acosta, despite being re-overtaken, despite Maverick catching them, is not willing to give up on this.
No, not willing to give up at all, but now they've put another name into this battle, which is Maverick Davis, as you said. And man, Maverick was leaning on Trent Dinkel here. And now, this is what Abner wants, by the way. If you're Abner or Costa, you have to have the biggest smile right now. Well, you did when they were battling side by side.
So hearing that Jake Maki may have pitted in before Kibbe did, but Maki's still farther lap behind him. So I wonder if he maybe had some issues, because it doesn't look like it was a long pit stop for him. Oh, coming off the corner, Davis gonna see if he can finally get up to the front here. And while his car fell backwards at first, now it has absolutely come alive.
And oh man, you know what? And when I talked to Maverick Davis pre-race, I got a 2-word answer out of Maverick, Joe, which was, I'm confident. When referring to the race today, well, now I think I know why.
I'm with you. It seems like he knew what he's got underneath him. He didn't need to panic, and apparently the car is finally coming back to the fore. But Acosta still between him and Dinkel in second place, as we're watching on board with Dinkel. I thought maybe Abner had burned up his stuff, and that's why. Oof! Did he hit the wall there, or did he stay?
If he didn't, yeah, it was a scrape. If he didn't hit it, that was nothing more than like a postcard or two between him and the wall.
What I was trying to say is I feared that maybe Abner had used up his stuff and Dinkel was going to just get him right back or something, but it's hard to tell because Maverick has now thrown a complete wrench in all of this.
Yeah, he has. I was watching here live, and man, look at this. Maverick Davis, in fact, is pulling away. That's a half second now or more between him and the leaders. That's got to be the biggest gap we've seen from the lead in about the last 30, 40 laps of this race.
And Acosta brushed the wall again. I don't think that thing is happy. That 5 has been unable to get off of turn 4 multiple times now. And while he is getting back in front and seems to be doing good in 1 and 2, 3 and 4, not kind. Let's watch and see if it happens again here. Holds on to it this time, but it was scary for Dinkel. I think it's about time for pit stops, honestly. O'Brien now also catching up to him. I think the tires are done. I think they're losing all their good, and now it's not just the speed loss, it's the handling loss that they're experiencing.
Makes me wonder, though, for Dinkel, I talked about in the car, Dinkel's pretty calm. He doesn't show a lot of emotion typically, but when you talk with Trent Dinkel after the race, you can hear, hold on, he's pitting. So maybe right, maybe it is tires. I was going to bring it, could it just be a driver frustration? But now there you go. Trent Dinkel down pit road on lap 87. Still one of our first drivers to do it. So now let's see how long it takes. This is a very, not a slow pit road, Joe. But when you think about their green flag, 45 feels like you're crawling. Here comes Abner as well.
And this always puts you in the danger zone. You've got yourself a chance that you could be trapped a lap down if you pit early. That's why you often see these leaders try to go as long as possible. That's why none of them were coming in. Haig pits. It looks like Chandler is also, or no, not Chandler. Oh, and there's the caution.
Oh, yellow. Haven't seen it yet on track. I'm looking for it.
It's the 21. Oh no. The worst of the worst for everybody that's just stopped. It was Christian just losing it on his own, trying to get the car woed up for the pit stop, and he was far enough out into the racing line that the sim threw the caution.
Oh man, well that's going to be really an interesting situation here because Abner Acosta just came down, but Trent Dinkel's a lap down, Chad Kibbe's a lap down, Jake Maki is 2 laps down. So in the case of, let's see the replay first, I'll come back to that. Here's Lou. And yep, just got it load up here. And I'm surprised, but not at the same time. But there he is down pit road, and that may even be a closed pit road penalty as well for Lou Christian. I'm sure the yellow was out at that point. We'll take a look later and see. But right now for Kibbe and Dinkel, they'll get their lap back when everyone pits. They'll start at the back of the tail end. Maki will get a lap back. But wow, this is going to be a big changer here for Trent Dinkel.
Yeah, that just came at exactly the wrong time. It's the risk you take. Oh, the 67 gets hit by Acosta.
What just happened? Look at Even the 67's confused.
That was utterly strange. They were side by side coming down into pit lane. I don't know if maybe Acosta didn't want to pit and was kind of pushed down by Harvey, but this was under caution. This is utterly bizarre.
And there's a lively conversation, to put it nicely, between Acosta and Harvey about what happened here. Lively is the nicest word I'll use for it, but let's watch it again here. So this is Acosta we're riding on board with.
Oh, okay, so he comes charging in.
Not sure why he was behind is the question, because he should have been up here as the leader. So watch this here. Oh, he's going to have the penalty. Oh, I see why.
So he's trying to get in line. I wonder if he was trying to pit when the yellow came out, and that lost him a few positions, so he had to pick the pace back up.
Pretty sure he was down pit road when the yellow came out. So I'm not sure what. I don't understand why he was down there. I think in his mind he thought he was letting cars by, and then just maybe was not aware that Pat Harvey was on the outside. Well, listen, here's the good news for Pat Harvey. Yes, his back left end got hit, Joe, but as far as I can tell, it didn't really hit the wall or anything, so it's frustrating, but, you know, not much damage to the car. Probably able to get whatever fixed on pit road. They'll just have to start deep in the field.
So, yeah, I think what happened here is because he already had his pit stop done, he was trying to get in line. He didn't want to come in the pits. And that's why Harvey ran into him, because Harvey did want to pit. And normally you're not side by side during caution.
Well, and here's Chad Kibbe, by the way, in that Jordan brand machine. I'll finish that thought by saying, though, Joe, and why I'm confused. The typical race etiquette is that if you need to pass people, you do it on the outside.
Outside, yeah.
Yeah, I don't. That's why I'm a little lost for words. Is because typically, if you need to pass someone, whether you're the lucky dog or you just need to let people by, well, you do it on the outside.
So I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and he still should have. But what happened here is just he passed maybe a couple cars that he shouldn't have, and was trying to back up and let them back through. So
yeah, I agree. So going on board with the cameras there's Lou Christian. We saw Eric Haig a second ago. Of course, Lou, that's Joey Tebben calls it, Joe, the most dangerous step in all of sim racing right there.
Wait, what is the most dangerous step? You lost me.
We'll go back to Lou Christian's webcam in a second. You'll see it. There's Mark Kalin, by the way. Mark's just watching the race as a PRL admin. Look at that right there. That one little step right there. Right behind Lou, right there on the webcam. So Joey Tebben calls it the most dangerous step in all of sim racing.
I don't see a... What are you talking about? Oh,
right there by the rail. Yeah.
Okay, there's a handrail. I didn't... Now I get it.
Sorry about that.
I was trying to figure out if maybe he had a step in his haircut or something that you were talking about. Bruno, our winner from last week, also hooked up to the cams here. And where is Bruno right now, actually? Looks like he's sitting fourth, so he's definitely still in the running, but I think the one that's sitting best right now has got to be Maverick Davis and maybe James O'Brien, because those two have looked quick, and now they no longer have Acosta and Dinkel in the mix.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting race right now. Acosta runs 14th, Dinkel runs 16th, both on the back of the lead lap. So if they want to get there, they only have about, math is so hard, Joe, 58 laps to get there. Let's wait and see what happens. Right now for Maverick Davis, last big deep breath in. Try to relax, pay attention to the speed. But right now, pace car is down. And we are back to green flag racing.
Very good jump there from Davis. And O'Brien spotted an opening. He immediately went down to the bottom to try to cover things off, interestingly. And I guess the bottom side is more desirable before they get up to speed. So that does make sense, even though the high side is better once they're fully up to tilt. So the 43, I think, is going to be able to maybe get that third place. He's fighting with Mello for it.
Yeah, fighting for Mello indeed. And of course, Chris told us he likes to run the bottom at first, but was not able to there. So he'll get down on the apron, get that little extra speed, and then he'll see if he can make the power, keep the pass here made on Mello. But right now, Maverick Davis is your leader. Another leader on the board tonight. We need to make that list of cars who led a lap in this race. James O'Brien wants to join it. He's also part of private label, Joe. Man, look, there's Abner Acosta back there working the bottom, trying to make things happen quickly in the back of that camera shot.
Worth noting that Dinkel and Acosta are still on the lead lap, so they're going to be charging up through the field probably to get back to the front. But will they have enough once they get there? And what will the cautions look like involved in that? As there is the 5, all the way up to 10th already. So yeah, he's made quick work of what he's had to do here in short time.
Yeah, there's Dinkel 2 spots behind and working right behind the 25 car. So they're both going to try to get there as quick as possible. Jose Medina and Craig Bray right here in front of these 2 cars. Now the concern I have for both of them, Joe, them being Acosta and Dinkel, is if they run this hard, when they get to the front, what do they have left?
Exactly. It's going to be tough. They almost need another caution to help them out here, as Trent Dinkel sets the fastest lap of the race on top of things, and that's in traffic too.
Yeah, which could help a little bit here, but I mean, you're right. It also makes it more difficult. You know, I think in the phrases in my head, Joe, there's, you know, drive it like you're mad, drive it like you stole it. Whatever phrase you have, that's what Abner Acosta and Trent Dinkel are doing right now.
Very much so. Just slicing through everybody up to 8th already. The other thing that we should probably note is the temperatures, despite what we thought would happen, have continued to cool. It's down to 100 Fahrenheit. That's 12 degrees cooler than the practice session.
Yeah, so what that's going to do is that's going to put a little bit more grip in the track.
Oh!
Hold on. Yellow. Oh, not yellow yet. Sorry, there's a wreck.
That was Tim Perry nearly getting turned. It looks like he's saved it. It slowed everybody up, but I mean, good heads up. Just scary moments for everybody, and it's not done yet. Off screen, Chad Kibbe nearly got turned around on top of things.
Ooh, man, that was a scary moment right there. And you got to think for Acosta and for Dinkel, that was a happy moment in the sense of they need a yellow to sort of formalize this process of getting back to the front. Speaking of the front, by the way, James O'Brien is your new race leader. He has passed Maverick Davis. So O'Brien will now join the list of race leaders for this event. And now Jeff Chandler is sort of sniffing it. But look at them side by side, Joe. Not surprising this early in the run, though.
Yeah, I was very curious to see whether or not Davis would fall back again. It's starting to look like it a little bit here as we take a look at a replay of what happened there in the thick of the field. And I think it starts with a hit from behind is what starts it here.
Yeah, so we're looking at this car right here, the 83. That's the car we're focused on. I'm Dinkel behind him.
There it is. Just hooked him.
Man. I mean, the 83 might not have the pace that Dinkel does, but one could also make the argument that just because there's a car in front of you, you can't just run it over, Joe.
Exactly. There's give and take in oval racing. Sometimes you just have to learn when it's better to give it up a little bit, lift off the throttle, let the other car have some space, because we're not at the end of the race yet. Still got about 50 laps to go here. And Davis and O'Brien, they've been running side by side for a couple laps now.
Yeah, James O'Brien, see the private label there on the side of the car. So that's obviously the team he is representing. You see Jeff Chandler in that black and green machine right behind him here. So really just trying to keep in the sniff of that draft. Wondering if one of these two will slip up and maybe slow them both up. Let him in. And then Chris Hudson sort of in that same seat back there in fourth. Right now it's a beautiful battle, and I think O'Brien might finally clear. A little help there. Here's the 82. That's Stan Krenathian back in the battle here. He was had pitted, I think, just before the yellow came out or right afterwards, and Kibbe just crushed the wall, it looked like.
Yeah, definitely a couple cars that are still letting it drift up a little high. A few brushing it on the way in to the corner as well. And coming now on to the back stretch once again. You see, this one is getting very interesting as this actually, are we up to speed here?
Let's take a look here. I mean, speaking of Chad Kibbe, you know, good news for him, Joe. When we talked to him pre-race, he told us that as long as the track stayed under 105 degrees Fahrenheit, he thought he could control the car and make good use of it. Well, right now it's 102. so that should lead to a very happy Chad Kibbe.
Yeah, so there you go. It's like I said, it's cooled down significantly, and that is working out fantastically for them as they come out of 4 back onto the main straight once again, still fighting for what is essentially 10th place. Haig is at the front of this group.
But you look at this. This is Chris Hudson now, and he's now under attack. That is Abner Acosta and Trent Dinkel. We've seen them up front before, and that's how fast they're getting through the field. This is the battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th right here. And there they both go, Acosta and Dinkel around Chris Hudson.
Okay, so O'Brien has got the job done. Chandler in there, and so, hello, there's Acosta, there's Dinkel, and they're 3rd and 4th, or no, 4th and 5th rather, already. What did we restart on? That was...
yeah, 14th and 16th whenever we restarted, yeah.
So that was lap 90, it looks like. Lap 91 is when they restarted. So that took all of 16 laps for them to get through the field. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, luckily they're benefiting, you know, honestly, Joe, from maybe a smaller field tonight. Some cars already wrecked out, but regardless, you know, the achievement is the achievement. They're not done yet. They still get a couple cars, but I mean, even a top 5 from where they were, that's a big step.
That's what always amazes me about guys like Trent and Abner is the amount of speed that they have, and the racecraft too, frankly, from what we've seen here. Is they're going to get Maverick Davis, but this, okay, so here's what's interesting. Remember, they were ahead of Maverick earlier in that the early side of the race, and yet he still came back and was battling with them. Now he's starting out ahead of them, and they're just only beginning to look to try and overtake him. This looks like 5's going to go around Dinkel there. So if anything, if it stays green, Maverick still has the better cards in his hand.
You would think so, yeah. You'd think as this run goes on, if we stay green all the way through lap 150, that eventually I would think that Maverick Davis, James O'Brien would have the better tires. By the way, new leader, I missed this somehow, and I apologize. Jeff Chandler is now on the list of names that have led a lap here at Kansas.
Yeah, it's been quite the rotating cast up at the front ever since we had that initial stint of what was basically Dinkel running away with things. Going to take a little bit of a look at the replay here. This is the pass for the lead, it looks like.
Yeah, this is the pass for the lead, and Chandler just kind of stuck it to the bottom. And eventually he's going to slide up out of the corner here, right in front of O'Brien.
So slid up to the top side, and now he's going to try his best to run away. O'Brien's kind of been the man in the middle out of all this. He's been hovering around the front. He hasn't really fallen back all that much, but he also hasn't lit the world afire. So the 33, I think, just has a really good, consistent car. As the 9 is going to go up around the high side and take a few risks here.
Yeah, a couple risks indeed is what he's going to do here. Wow, 3 wide. Abner Acosta, sorry, it's going to be the benefit and lead here.
Yeah, there was a little bit of contact as well between Davis and Dinkel, and Maverick gets on the radio to apologize a little bit there. Bruno Mello's been brought into it along with Chris Hudson because of them messing around like that. They're also losing touch with O'Brien and Chandler now. There you can see Mello trying his best to complete the pass, but unsuccessfully on Hudson.
Yeah, you'll see a beautiful pack here, 3 wide in front. Look at it from the back view of Hudson. This has got to be scary if you're Chris Hudson.
Extremely scary. And drivers now coming down to the end of this race. We're less than 40 laps to go. And here's the other thing about all of this is yes, maybe they could make it to the end on fuel, but what are the tires going to look like at the end of it? I also wonder if this means maybe we'll see a couple drivers take a chance and maybe pit towards the back. So could see, and I see an accident in the back of the field. 2 cars in the grass through the tri-oval. That's going to be Tim Perry and Greg Carr. No caution, though, it looks like.
Yeah, as long as we'll keep it in the grass, the admins will let us keep it green. And as frustrating as that will be for Perry and Carr, it will be good news for most of the rest of the field. Man, this race is quickly ticking away here, Joe. These laps are just kind of fading away like dust in the wind.
Ooh, O'Brien's coming back into things. Chandler now has problems as not only is he dealing with O'Brien, but Acosta is the one behind, chasing with Dinkle in tow. I don't know if them fighting back and forth is wise here, although maybe O'Brien knows he's got more speed. He's turned on the afterburner so that he can run away from this pair because he knows they're going to be fast.
Yeah, look at it. It's now pulled almost a 0.2 of a second gap on Chandler. But you're right. I mean, Acosta and Dinkle are about half a second behind, so not very far. So he definitely wants to get up there and keep this the way it is.
Going to go single file for now. It's the first time we've seen that in a while up at the front here. Although back there, it looks like Bruno's still doing what he can on Davis. Is Davis sitting that transition point? Is he starting to come back forward now, I wonder?
Yeah, it could be. Maybe things are starting to warm up, or he's found a line he likes, or whatever happens in that car that makes the driver feel good. But you're right, Davis is coming alive. Let's take a look at a replay here, Joe. This will be that incident you saw in the back of the field off camera. 25's almost drifted up into Kibbe. That's what I saw first. And then I think just going to crush the wall like that. And they're both going to make contact. And now down in the grass. There's going to be one upset groundskeeper at the end of this race.
All that hard work that he did. Yeah, it's been spoiled. But I mean, that was impressive that neither of them spun out, because look at how hard of a hit it was between them. Great handling by both drivers.
And honestly, especially with even that transition they made back on the track, that transition from grass to apron to banking is not smooth. So kudos to both of them for doing that. Yeah, listen, Joe, at least that groundskeeper didn't have to paint that new awful Kansas Speedway logo into that grass.
We both have strong opinions about that when we were talking about off air. It's a little bit of a try from Chris Hudson on Trent Dinkle. Oh, not only does it fail, but Davis has to get on the binders so he doesn't run into the back of him.
And big check up there from Davis. Very commendable this late in the race to do that. Sometimes as a driver gets later and later into the race and the time is really drifting away, they get a little less patient and a little more willing to use a bumper to say hello. But here comes Hudson now. Look at that on the bottom of Dinkle. I think Dinkle will be okay when we come out of the corner, but Chris Hudson really involved in the conversation tonight.
Yeah, they're still fighting by side up front too. Look it down on the bottom there for Chandler on O'Brien, trying to see if he can get a nose in and fight for that lead once again. He may have been overtaken, but he's not going to give this one up quietly and see if he can get back to the front. I think the big thing that's going to make a difference here is if we stay green to the finish. That's the part where I'm very curious if they're going to be able to manage it, because we've already had a couple close calls for a yellow.
Yeah, we've had a couple close calls, and you're right. I'm curious what happens here on so many levels if we stay green. Does O'Brien stay up front? Will eventually Acosta and Dinkle level off or fall back? Does a Maverick Davis or a Bruno Mello become more involved? There's lots of questions left to be answered here with about 31 laps on the board. Look at this, Acosta now to the inside of Jeff Chandler for P2.
Yeah, so now he's found that speed. Chandler also does, but he's got no place to take it as he has to lift off a little bit, coming around behind James O'Brien. Pass isn't done for Acosta. We've seen him try this on the 9 before on the low side, a brush against the wall. That may have just done Chandler, and he hits it again.
Oh, Jeff Chandler kept it up there. Great job to keep it in the wall and out of trouble. Fall back. Now that's Hudson and Davis 3 wide. They'll, I think, quickly clear Chandler here, but they won't. Now they're 2 by 2.
That hurt Chandler and Hudson quite a bit. And now Bruno's going to try and see if he can make up some of these spots with them losing all kinds of time to that little hiccup. 3 wide again, maybe down into turn 1.
Yeah, 3 wide again. Bruno Mello on the bottom. Davis in the middle. Chandler up top. Chris Hudson looking on in behind here. And everything sorts itself out a little bit. Back to 2 wide racing. Back to 1 single file. And for the first time tonight, Joe, that I can remember, we have a 1, 2, 3 private label team hype at the front of this field.
It's certainly looking like it is in their hands right now, but I don't think this one is over because we've still got 28 or so laps to go to finish this race. So there could still be more twists. Is way up to the outside. Maverick Davis is ripping the wall.
Yeah, doing a great job there of keeping up near the wall, but not in the wall. That is way easier than it sounds, or way harder than it sounds, I should say, by the way, to get up against that wall and not scrub it through a corner.
It always scares me. The few times that I go oval racing, I never feel like I can make those high lines work very well. So these guys that are fast out here doing it, it impresses me.
Yeah, it feels like there's just a feeling against the wall that gets uncomfortable for a lot of drivers. And you can always see who's had more experience with oval by how well they track out of the corner and how comfortable they are being up there. But Chris Hudson, speaking of up there, is now going to make the pass. He's attempted on the Maverick Davis, who got held up by Jeff Chandler, and that's going to benefit Chris Hudson as he's now all over Trent Dinkle.
Yeah, Chandler had a big wiggle there on the bottom line. I'm noticing there's definitely a few drivers who, if they try to stay on the bottom, the car gets quite loose. I think putting too much steering in with that lesser banking has really worn out the tires for them, and also just taken away the handling. Also, that number 78, we don't talk about Bruno enough, and he's been kind of a dark horse in all of this.
There's a reference. Nah, I like
You're
that.
welcome.
Thank you. I'm actually ashamed I had not thought of working that one in. That's a regret right there.
But seriously, he's just been kind of hovering around here. I wonder what he's got up his sleeve.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. I mean, last week, benefited from the one-stop strategy and put himself in the front and drove away. This week is, right here in this battle. So, great job by Bruno Mello just to be involved and be engaged and to be part of the conversation here as he runs back in P7. Well, right now, by the way, Abner Acosta has made the pass to lead. So he's back out front again on lap 127. And now James O'Brien says, I want that back, and tries to make the pass.
Interesting to see who is going to come out ahead of these three. Doesn't seem like there's any sort of team orders on this one, especially with how hard the 5 and the 9 were fighting earlier on. So now that we've got another thrown into the mix, the one thing they don't want to do, though, is fight too hard and allow Hudson or Chandler or Davis to suddenly snatch that away from them. Even just one of the positions. They want to lock down this podium. Whoa! As things got close there.
Yeah, that got really close. Yeah, you're right. It's something I love about Team Hype, private label Team Hype. You're right, is that there is no team orders here. There's no let someone win or any of that stuff. We've seen it across other teams where maybe, hey, let's let this guy win this week, or let's not get too crazy. Let's just win the points title for the teams. These guys are all out. That's what they're here to do, and they do it. Jeff Chandler now breaking into the top 3 and trying to get around Dinkle is so far on the bottom, making that happen. And right now it's Acosta, O'Brien, Jeff Chandler, 1, 2, 3 on lap 129.
They were messing around too much, or now Dinkle has run out of tire. Remember, he kind of did this last time we had a long stint. So I suspect that 9 is out of juice at this point. Chandler on the charge forward, but he's got a bit to go to catch up to Acosta, and he's got to get by O'Brien first.
Yeah, and Dinkle told me he didn't really have a great time in the official races. He said he had a hard time, getting good races in or feeling comfortable. So we're seeing a bit of that here and a bit of that tire wear coming into play.
They're almost going 3 wide once again, a little bit farther behind this shot, still between Davis, Hudson, and Mello back there. Also, they haven't dropped Hardy yet.
Whoa. Someone was in the wall there. Was that Dinkle or was that Davis? I couldn't tell. I saw the smoke. Being told it was Dinkle in the wall.
Yeah, he pancaked it pretty bad, and then that forced Maverick to have to check up and take evasive action. Now it's getting mixed up too much. Davis gets turned. Good catch though, but the yellow flag is out. Wow.
Man, oh man, this will change everything, Joe. Because right now Acosta and Dinkle have to reset those cars. But you're right. Let's see what happens here. Bring out this yellow here. This will be on the start of, or in the middle of lap 132. It looked like maybe the racing got aggressive, and we'll wait and see. I think there was some aggressive driving happening in that part of the field.
Yeah, I'm not too shocked. I'm impressed that it took that long for the caution to come out, because we saw so many drivers really testing the limits here. Maverick Davis, though, my goodness, that 360 at probably a good 165, 170 miles an hour, and yet he caught it like it was nothing. Watch this.
It'll be Hudson here on the inside in the 43. That's Dinkle ahead of him. Through the corner.
This will be off of turn 2. There's the contact with him initially.
Yeah, there's the wall hit we thought we saw. Let's watch it here. Be out of this corner here. Just Dinkle up in the wall slightly again. And I think Davis is going to slide up here and be in the way. Watch this here.
Yeah, 9 tries to cut back underneath, and it would have been a brilliant move, but it's hard to tell from that angle. I wonder if the 15 was trying to cross over to block.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but just a little bit of looseness, a little bit of air, a little bit of everything involved, and the caution is out. Well, now here we go. Lap 133 of 150. We're under yellow. See the driver starting to pull away here. And man, that is a long stop for some of these drivers, I felt like. But there's Abner Acosta back out front. James O'Brien is second. Wait and see how this all lines up here. Well, Joe, now we have ourselves a good old sprint to the finish. Now we have ourselves only a couple laps to go, it feels like.
But the thing we have to remember is cautions breed cautions often. So especially this late in the race, this is where the likelihood of those yellows are just going up and up and up, even if it had been green for a long time, because people are willing to take more risky moves. Now that they're all bunched up, I mean, it's exponential. And I would be willing to put money to say that we're going to get another yellow.
Well, and here's the thing to talk about with that. We talked about at the beginning of the broadcast. It's 150 laps or 90 minutes. So let's take a look at the clock real quick here. I want to see how much time is officially left in this race, because if we get another yellow, I think we're in danger of cutting this race short. So we'll wait and see if we can get the clock to tick over on the top of our ticker board here, as I think we're right about the 10-minute mark as we stand right now. So we'd be good from right here. But I'll tell you what, Joe, I think one more caution and this becomes a timed race. Yeah, there it is, 11:20. It's about 5 minutes per caution, so it's going to be close.
Yeah, they basically can't afford another one, I think, is the situation here. They need this to finish out. So I've gotten the timer up on my side as well now, so I can follow that and tell you exactly where they sit. But Abner Acosta, now restarting on the front, has James O'Brien on even tires. But who was strong early in the runs? Trent Dinkle. So he's restarting from 5th. I think he is the one that is probably smiling the most from this.
Yeah, you'd think so. Wouldn't you think Dinkle's got to be happy and really has us come out and, decided to do his best and play the game tonight for our 3rd Kansas reference of the evening.
And Maverick Davis, he tended to not be good on those early parts of the stint, so I don't know if we're going to see him be able to charge back to the front here, especially from 8th place. It's going to take something special, I think, unless he's been playing possum on this entire time as they go double file, restarting with 15 laps to go.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see what happens here. I agree, there's going to be some real chaos here, lots of things happening all at once. I kind of agree with you. I don't think this race is going to get calmer as we go on. It's going to get a little bit more frantic, probably lots of moves, a little bit more 3-wide racing. Oof, I don't know. I'm going to put you in the spot, Joe. As we stand right now, does the winner of this race come from the top 5 or outside of the top 5?
I'm going to say top 5. I think it's one of those drivers up at the front most likely to be able to pull this out of the bag. I still say Dinkle probably has the best shot.
Well, it's time to find out. It's Acosta, O'Brien, Chandler, Hudson, and Dinkle, your top 5 That pace car pulls down out of turn 4. The race is now in the hands of Abner Acosta. Start at 136. We are green flag racing back at Kansas.
Oh, the 9 could not go anywhere as it checked up. Chandler, I think, was the one that failed to really get on the throttle there on the bottom side, and that's helped out O'Brien immensely.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's a big surprise, Joe, because you and I both know the hardest job in all of iRacing is starting on the outside in the oval race. You have a hard time seeing the leader, and so when O'Brien beats Chandler through the restart, that's a big surprise.
And it's a bad sign for everybody behind, because O'Brien, like I said, consistency seems to be his thing. And if he can get aggressive enough to make a move, he could be sitting in a very good spot to try and take this lead away.
Well, right now, here we go. You see Dinkel already up to 4th. Lots of cars up high. That's Hudson. That's Davidson. They're 3 wide for the lead. That's Chandler on the bottom. He has O'Brien in the middle and Acosta on the outside.
Wow, I said we'd see more aggressive stuff. I didn't think it'd be quite like that. Chandler pinched all the way to the bottom. Can he actually make this work is the question. O'Brien seems to be the one that doesn't like how that's looking, and he backs out a bit of it. Still Acosta leads.
That would be Abner Acosta leading that lap if it were the last one, but it's not. But here we are, 2 wide again, almost 3, as I thought O'Brien and Acosta were going to make contact, and Maverick Davis just set the fastest lap of the race.
Bit of a surprise to me that he suddenly got a very quick car at the start of the session now. 31 fully ahead. He should be able to track out Jeff Chandler. I did not have him on my bingo card as a likely winner.
Well, especially not after he had what we thought was a missed start. Felt like he laid back a little bit, maybe just kind of missed the gun. But now it's up ahead of the 3 private label team hype cars. Now Chandler's that fastest lap of 36.22.
Here comes Dinkel and Acosta also starting to try and see if they can make themselves a factor. Davis going against everything that I said. Once again, proving me wrong as we're 3 wide per second now.
And Joe, you know who's the most happy about the 3 wide racing? Jeff Chandler. Because the more they're 3 wide racing, the less they're running down Jeff Chandler as Acosta and Dinkel almost make contact.
After losing out a little bit, looks like Dinkel's got the speed, but can he keep it off the corner? They're going to try and box in the likes of O'Brien, and they do so, but that costs the 5 who has to lift out of it. And now Dinkel has a serious shot. He's in the clear. He's chasing down the 31.
Okay, Jeff Chandler, you have to focus on blocking Dinkel. Dinkel's a great competitor. See if he can run his line, or hope O'Brien can get there and block him. It's 10 to go here at Kansas.
What a finish we've got that's shaping up here. And some of those drivers that I thought were going to be strong kind of falling back. Acosta looking like he's struggling. Chris Hudson looking like he doesn't have much right now, while Davis is up to 5th position. Most of them going up to the high side. A couple stalwarts on the bottom, including Chandler, our leader.
A little early compared to what we've seen before, but the high lane is working. It's definitely rubbered in by now, so the drivers are going to make use of it. Chandler now rides it back from top to bottom. Acosta bottom to top, and there should be a Dinkel bottom to top with O'Brien behind him, and then Abner Acosta and Maverick Davis right there back.
Man, that's this has got to be tense if you're in this top group, because you know you've got a good shot at trying to steal this win. All of these drivers have had fast cars at various points, so they're going to be eager and feeling confident that they could do something here to make a difference, but they've got to time it perfectly right. They need to read the cards and play them extremely well. I think Dinkel is looking like he's starting to set up Chandler a bit.
Well, and you're Jeff Chandler, I think what you're eager for, Joe, is for the yellow to come out right now, because I am pretty sure we are past or right at the point of no return. The yellow would likely put this race without there being any more green flag runs. So Jeff Chandler under attack by Dinkel, under attack by O'Brien, and he would love to see a yellow come out. The rest of the field, not so much.
Exactly. This is where you almost have to try and start to make those moves now, because if the time runs out and that yellow flies, then you're stuck in whatever position you're in. So if I'm the number 9 of Trent Dinkel, start making moves now.
Yeah, but right now, what Dinkel's concerned about is not giving up more spots. Don't let O'Brien by. Don't let Davis by. So if you continue to let it happen, they're racing here again. 6 laps to go here at Kansas. Jeff Chandler running an amazing race. having possibly the best run he's had in a long time here and leading this race. It's now O'Brien getting up there with Dinkle, and they'll be side by side in the 3.
O'Brien could try and run low. I think the 9's trying to pinch him down, though. Keep him from being able to get that run, but he hangs tough. Look at that. And here comes Davis up the middle of both of them. Oh, he's going to make contact. Can he save it? He's working on it. Oh my goodness, he saved it. Acosta gets hit from behind. How was that not a yellow?
When we're done, we have to get the Abner Acosta save because he drifted that through a whole corner, Joe. That's impressive. Right now, here we go. It's Jeff Chandler now with James O'Brien 3/10 back. Then it's Hudson, Dinkle, Christian, and Davis, your top 6.
There was about 3 drivers that had to save the cars multiple times. Just keep those things pointed forward. That was utterly amazing. So O'Brien and Chandler, a one-on-one now to try and wrap this up. Oh man, they're still fighting hard. We might not be out of the woods for a yellow.
That's Davis. That was Davis, and Luke Christian made contact there out of the corner. Very much lighter contact, but now it's Davis right behind Dinkle. Look at this. It's O'Brien now right behind Chandler, almost side by side of the corner. And coming down to the line, this will be 4 to go. It's Chandler leading.
And James with a brilliant move on that one. He snuck his nose in on the outside. That prevented Chandler from drifting up in time. This means that he's now got the desired line. The 31 can't do anything about it. And look at that. He's ahead.
O'Brien's now almost cleared the pass. Chandler now back to the bottom of this track in 3 and 4, trying to get that momentum built up so if he can make the slide job pass. He cannot. In fact, he's tight. He's now lost the lead here, and it's now O'Brien leading with 2 to go.
Yeah. I'm calling it now that was the move of the race, getting his nose in right at the last moment and preventing Chandler from being able to use his momentum from the bottom side. That sealed the deal for James.
It does appear so, but the Hornets, that's back here. Look at this battle here. This is Dinkle on back. This is P5 on back. It's crazy. That's Dinkle, Kippy, Bruno Mello, Abner Acosta, Luke Christian. So many people involved here. 1 to go. And there's another wreck I heard in the wall. I don't know where it was, but they're 1 to go. We will race this back around no matter what, Joe.
Exactly. Too late for a caution at this stage. Still 3 wide in the middle of the pack. Bruno on the bottom side. Davis in the middle, I think.
Wow, this is one of the craziest races I've seen at Kansas in a long time, as you almost had a loose car there. Holy crap.
Leaders coming to the line. James has it cleared by multiple car lengths.
Coming around for one more time in his PRL career, James O'Brien victorious at Kansas as they are now, look at that pack. We'll wait for the scoring to see how it came out here, but James O'Brien wins at Kansas.
Davis somehow gets himself into 3rd after all that craziness. Hudson 4th. And Dinkle and Acosta, I mean, that's the shock of the race. Remember what I said about you need to play everything right. You need to be smart about this race, strategic about the tires and everything. Dinkle and Acosta, 5th and 6th, despite the 2 of them dominating through the middle part of the race.
Well, let's take a look at the results and see how it lines up here unofficially. James O'Brien, your race winner. Jeff Chandler, 0.2 of a second back. That is Maverick Davis, Chris Hudson, and Trent Dinkle, your top 5. Abner Acosta, Chad Kibbe, Luke Christian, Jose Medina, and Bruno Mello round out your top 10.
11th goes to Pat Harvey with Stan Carnathan. In the 12th spot, Tim Perry up from 20th to 13th. Not too bad there. Eric Haig, P14, as Greg Carr winds up 15th today. Craig Bray was then at P16, last one on the lead lap. Jake Maki a lap down in 17th. And then you get to not quite your DNFs, as Mark Killen did manage to finish. He repaired his engine, but he's 62 laps down. Everybody behind him, though, did not see the checkered flag.
Well, that's a look top to bottom at the race results. If you scroll through here, Marshall Harris, Brandon Walter back there in 20th. And then John Jones is your last car with Duncan Tarkaska in 22nd. Wow, that was a lot to process in about 10 minutes.
It really was. I mean, and what great racing was that from everybody involved? Because, yes, we had a few yellows out there, but the moments of saves that we saw, the door-to-door action that we got a real treat out of Kansas.
Wow, at one point will look to be a very single file race with just very almost predictable, almost a safe racing, turned into just, I guess you say, a whirlwind or a tornado of action.
It really did. And nice reference there, but it definitely surprised me. I thought it was going to be mostly single file racing, but it worked out quite well for the drivers, respecting one another, but at the same time, the differences in setup, the differences in strategy. Well, I guess we didn't really see differences in strategy because everybody pitted at the same time. But hoping to get to chat with O'Brien here, but still not seeing him in the waiting for interview room. So we'll give him a little bit. There he is. I think the 33 going to have a little bit of a chat with us now. James, congratulations on the victory. We were at a loss there at the end as to who was in the best position to win this thing, because each one of you kind of had your own time to shine at the front. How confident did you feel that you had the car to win today after that last caution?
Not that confident. I was just kind of hoping to hang on. I'm not really good at sprints like that. I kind of like to have the race go out long and super long runs, like at Dover last week before I got wrecked. So I kind of was just like, all right, 15 qualifying laps. It is what it is, you know. And with everything happening behind me, it's really the only reason I think I won. I think Maverick kind of would have had it. Trent had quite a lot of damage, and then Abner just wasn't comfortable with the car. I made a few adjustments on pit road that seemed to really help, but Jeff was so fast on the bottom. You normally wanted to start your run down there, but he could just run it the whole run, and it was incredible, and we were all commenting on it, like how good it was. So kudos to him. Excellent race for the second half of the whole race with him. Glad I finally got to win this season. I know I don't win a lot. I'm always up front, but I'm never really contending. But old guy still has it, I guess.
I think this is win number 19 for you on the season. And let's talk about that move that got you the lead at the end of the race. I noticed that you just got your nose up to the outside of Jeff, and that prevented him from really being able to drift that speed off. Was that intentional? Did you kind of get yourself there knowing that it would blunt him?
No, I think really he was trying to focus on his line, and I was focusing on mine. And mine was about momentum, so I just kind of had to keep it doing what it was doing, you know. And I noticed he got tight or loose or something. He had to lift, but I wasn't like trying to block him or anything. Now 2 or 3 to go, I probably would have done a little bit more, but I honestly was just kind of thinking about me and not hitting him.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of drivers that had to try and avoid hitting others. It got a little rough at times out there too. I mean, how was the car? Did you have any moments where you had contact?
Nothing heavy, just like little bumps and stuff, but it looked like Maverick and Trent were having most of the fun.
Well, congratulations again. That was an amazing win, and I'd say enjoy the spoils.
I will. I'm going to go to sleep.
James O'Brien with a very adult way of celebrating here. Derek taking victory at Kansas. I think it sounds like you've caught up with Jeff, though.
Yeah, I do. I'm excited to catch up with Jeff Chandler. Jeff, that 31 machine tonight. Wow, look at you up in the top all night long. How was it out there?
I'll tell you, it was a blast to run up front, especially in this league. It's so tough from top to bottom. I was pretty happy, but I knew I had a good set coming in.
So I have to ask you about this because it was my biggest surprise. With that last restart, it kind of felt like maybe you missed the start a little bit. Like maybe you just jumped the gun a little late. Is that what happened?
No, I started second and always have. It's just something I don't like first because sometimes it'll spin, sometimes it won't. I surely don't want to take out, half the cars or 3/4 of the car being up front. So I was very careful, and by the time I shifted into third, I was right on the bumper, so I didn't feel like it was a issue.
When you quickly shot back to the front, made a pass, and were leading some laps there, when James passed you, it felt like you made one last-ditch effort and the car just got tight on you.
Yeah, it did. If I had clean air, well, it's just like everybody else. You have clean air, you can make your car do what it wants to do, what you need it to do. But once he got in front of me, and I tried to poke my left front out as much as I could, but he was rolling. He was rolling good.
Well, listen, great job on the P2 tonight. Next week is Darlington for Throwback Week. You don't have to tell me what, but I'm going to ask you, do you have anything throwback planned for next week?
Yeah, one of my sponsors, Doyle Lawrence of Raven Graphics. Me and him have been friends. He painted my first car back in 2013. So we've been together a long time, and I just run his paints. I think he's the best out there. So he's preparing me something. I don't even know what it is, and he's just going to surprise me. The last couple of Darlingtons has been the Western Auto theme. So he's got something in store for me. I can't wait to see it.
Well, I can't wait either. We'll see you next week, and congrats on P2.
All right, I just want to shout out to my Nerditude guys that sponsor me, Dustin, Jason, and Jeremy. I appreciate them big time, and Martin, Scott Martin of Martin Sports. Thanks, guys, for all the help.
There you go. All right, well, Jeff Chandler, P2 tonight, and now it's time to catch up with someone who I'm really familiar with. He always says, Derek, I want to talk to you, so I'm going to let him do it. Maverick Davis, your P3.
What's going on, man? Long time no see.
It feels that way, doesn't it? It's been a long time since we've done one of these interviews, and wow, that looked like pandemonium.
That was quite possibly one of the most fun races I've done in here ever. That was so much fun.
Lots of contact at the end. There was some contact with, I think, you and Trent Dinkle at one point. There's contact with you and Luke Christian at one point. And how did you hold on to the car?
Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, in the moment, it was just like a standard sort of save it and keep going. But looking back at the replay, it looks pretty wild. But yeah, I do want to apologize here to all those guys that were involved in all of that, because I know had that not happened, some of them would have finished better than they did, and so I wouldn't say I'm the most proud of how that ending went, but yeah, no, it was still a lot of fun.
It looked fun. It was fun up here, so I want to say thank you for the race. It was a blast to watch, and we'll see you next week at Darlington.
All right. Yeah, thanks, buddy.
All right, that's Maverick Davis, finished P3. Well, Joe, I'm ready for bed too, I think. I'm on the West Coast. That was exhausting.
Yeah, it was a lot to take in, and man, if that's what we got with Kansas, imagine Darlington. That's going to be taking it up even another notch.
Yeah, the track too tough to tame. 1 week from tonight should be Dylan Coyle and Robert Hill back on the call with you, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, Joe, I want to say thank you for being here tonight. It was so much fun.
It was a blast. Thanks for having me in. It's been a minute since I've gotten to do the Cup Series here for PRL, and they did not disappoint.
All right, well, for myself, Derek Watson, that's Joe Peak in the booth, Mike Yao pressing the buttons behind the boards, and Nick Hunter, our PRL spotter for this race. Well, thank you so much for being here. Once again, your winner tonight is James O'Brien.